She was known only as Velen, the Wraith Queen, an apex predator born from the dark nebulae that birthed her kind. Her species, the Varkish, thrived in shadows and poison, consuming entire planets to sustain themselves. Their mere approach turned ecosystems to husks and left entire systems screaming in silent radio echoes. Velen was the strongest of them all, a living weapon, designed to hunt and eradicate life wherever it dared bloom. From the first stirrings of consciousness, she had been taught to fear warmth, to despise growth and connection. Life was a disease to her people, an anomaly to be purged. She moved through galaxies like a ghost, her slender chitinous limbs gliding across vacuum, her massive mind sensing every heartbeat, every trembling signal. Her hunger was matched only by her terror of contamination, of touching anything alive, of feeling anything beyond her cold purpose. When humanity's ships first entered the Orion reaches, she observed them like a cat watching insects. They were small, fragile, clumsy things full of warmth and noise. She expected them to die quickly, to scream and vanish into the void like all the rest. But they did not. She watched their stations sprout like corals in black space, watched as they sang songs to each other through the stars, watched them dance in zero-gravity gardens and laugh even when the darkness howled at their doors. The more she saw, the more something inside her twisted. She felt an ache she could not name, an alien curiosity bordering on pain. Then, during a routine annihilation sweep near the Kelhan Rift, her bioship was struck by an unexpected solar flare. Her inner conduits shattered, and she tumbled into the orbit of a small research outpost named Eden 12. The human response was immediate. Rescue ships scrambled, ignoring the obvious danger of her presence. They thought her some lost vessel, some twisted survivor in need of aid. And among them was Dr. Elias Runn, a biologist known for reaching out to the most dangerous creatures in the void. Elias was the first to step aboard her ship, through the hull breach where molten metal and chitin had fused. His suit lights played over her writhing tendrils, her cracked exoskeleton leaking black ichor that hissed in the oxygen. She recoiled at first, trying to push him away telepathically, filling his mind with images of death and ruin. But Elias did not retreat. Instead, he dropped to one knee, his gloved hands extended as if greeting a wounded animal. "I see you," he whispered through the comms, his voice trembling but kind. "I see you're hurt. Let me help." No one had ever spoken to her like that, not as a monster, not as a queen, but as a being in pain. Over days that turned into weeks, Elias returned to her, each time with small tools, medicinal salves, and careful words. He ignored her mental assaults, her silent screams, her desperate urges to flee. He only responded with warmth and patience, teaching her about the simplest things, the pulse of a heartbeat, the gentle tremor of fingers against a wound, the quiet comfort of shared breath. Velen began to mimic him in secret, flexing her shredded tendrils in attempts to touch as he did. She found that, under his care, her internal pain faded faster than she thought possible. She felt warmth seep into her mind, an impossible warmth that terrified her more than any weapon. One day, Elias removed his helmet entirely. The station screamed warnings at him, but he ignored them. He let his skin meet the alien air in her chamber, let her see his fragile, open face. His eyes were wet with tears, reflecting her fractured, insectal visage. "Life isn't something to fear," he whispered, stepping closer. "It's something to hold, something to share. You don't have to be alone, Velen." She trembled. Her species had always recoiled from life, from touch. But now, trembling, she extended a tendril toward him, stopping inches away from his cheek. Elias did not flinch. Instead, he leaned forward and pressed his face against her appendage, closing his eyes. The sensation that rippled through her was beyond any chemical signal, any neural surge she had ever known. It was like a sun rising inside her, flooding every dark crevice she had guarded so viciously. She felt his heartbeat as if it were her own. From that moment, she stopped calling herself a queen. She began to see herself through his eyes, not as an apex predator, but as something capable of more than fear and hunger. Days turned into months. Velen learned to speak in human tongues, learned to write gentle messages with her bioluminescent filaments. She learned to laugh, though her laugh was a vibrating, resonant hum that startled even Elias at first. But each time he would only laugh with her, pulling her gently into the strange warmth she had come to crave. The humans on Eden 12 began to accept her too, slowly, cautiously. Children painted her long limbs with bright colors, and engineers wove sensors into her carapace, so she could feel subtle air currents and vibrations like a soft embrace. Elias stood by her side through every new fear, every trembling attempt to join dances in the low-gravity rings. When she collapsed from panic, he caught her. When she shrieked in self-loathing, he wrapped his arms around her until her spasms calmed. In time, she realized that love was not a virus to be purged, not a weakness to be feared. Love was the force that had brought Elias to her broken hull, that had pushed him to keep returning despite her venomous mind. It was the warmth that stitched her cracked heart back together. Years later, when Elias grew old and frail, she carried him everywhere, her once deadly limbs now cradling him like living cradles of gentle light. He died in her embrace, smiling, whispering, "You were never meant to destroy. You were meant to love." She stayed beside his resting place, building gardens of alien flowers in his memory. She tended them with hands that had once brought only death. Velen became the guardian of Eden 12, the gentle mother of lost travelers. Ships across the quadrant came to rest under her watchful gaze, each one finding safety and warmth. She had feared all life, but in the end, a human's gentle hands and endless heart had taught her that to live was to love, and to love was to truly exist.